Well, Commbank is facing an 11th hour challenge to its return to office order after almost 50,000 employees had their work from home arrangements scrapped.
Gee, we've been asking you at home if employees should be able to work from home permanently. Debbie says, why not? If their job can be done from home easily, then good on them.
While Mel says people actually need to get out of the house and have somewhere to go. National President of the Finance Sector Union, Wendy Streets, joins us now in Brisbane. Wendy, thanks so much for your time. Has the Fair Work Commission intervened here?
Not yet. We lodged the paperwork yesterday to seek the assistance of the Fair Work Commission to conciliate between ourselves and the Commonwealth Bank around this matter.
And many have threatened resignation. They want out. Do you think they'll follow through?
Oh, look, I think we have to recognise it's a very tight labour market out there, and people can walk and know that they can secure another job relatively quickly in one of the big four competitors, or, you know, we're a big finance industry. 500,000 people work in the industry. So in such a tight labour market, I think the threat of walking is a serious one.
I guess the issue that they may face then is going into an employer who does still have this in place where they want their staff to come into the office. I mean, the Commonwealth Bank is only asking for staff to come in 50% of the time. That sounds fair, surely.
Well, I don't think it's fair when our workers are telling us that they go into the office when they're directed to go in, and what they find is half their team is still working from home because they're not all in on the same day. So they have to sit there and do the team meetings online. And they say, why do we have to do that from the office when we can do it from home and save that 2.5 hours travel each day? So it's just not working overall. There's been no consultation with staff, which is our dispute in the Commission. Commonwealth Bank need to sit down at the table with us and work out how we actually do this together and how people have a say in what they're asking them to do.
Because there are concerns about productivity as well. Has any weight been given to that?
The productivity in the CBA Bank is better than what it's ever been. Their profit is higher than it's ever been. So we've had workers from home for 3 years now. Nothing has gone backwards. Everything has gone forwards, which is part of the reason why our members are saying there is no need for us to be forced back into the office. We are working more efficiently than we ever have in the past.
Wendy, this has to be resolved. How do you see that happening?
Well, as I said, we're asking, and we have been asking the Commonwealth Bank for the last 3 weeks to stop this procedure and consult with us. They made this decision unilaterally. They have not consulted with us or their staff. And what we're saying is you need to do this. People have put arrangements in place for the last 3 years. They can't just turn that around on a month's notice. Like, they need to sit down. We need to work out the best way forward. We're currently in enterprise negotiations with the CBA for a new enterprise agreement. Part of our claim is about work from home entitlements being put into a new agreement, which would give our members the security of how changes to their requirements to either be in office or at home would work. And we want them to facilitate that with us.
All right, Wendy, thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Australia's big four banks are facing a grilling over the disparity between rate hikes for borrowers and savers. So what implication does this have on the bigger picture, and what does the future of banking look like? For more, we're joined by financial expert and founder of Bullion FX, Stephen Moss. Steve, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. Can you talk us through the findings so far?
Morning, Alex. Yeah, sure. So today's the second day of the parliamentary inquiry. I think today's CBA and Westpac are up. It's important to note, right now it's just an inquiry. So, you know, over the last, since May last year, the cash rate's boosted about 4%. The banks have only passed on about 1 or 2% of that interest rate rise to most online savings accounts. And so there's no findings as such. Right now it's a bit of an inquiry to get inside the bank's thinking and how do they pass rates on, etc. So looking forward to some more info coming out. I think, though, the big takeaway from the inquiry so far is that it pays off to get on the phone, talk to your bank and see if you can get a better savings rate. Because while the banks are only passing on 1 or 2% to a lot of online savings accounts, they are offering high percentage rates if you do your homework and look into it. So that's the takeaway right now, and we're keen to see what more comes out of that.
Refinance if you have to. The RBA has announced it will meet less. That's not going to make much of a difference, though, is it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, let's see how that evolves. But at this point, yeah, it's. I don't think it'll make much of a difference fundamentally.
No way.
I think they've got bigger changes to make.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some other changes. 130 countries are now exploring digital versions of their currencies. Just talk us through that. How does that work?
Yeah, so that's evolving pretty quickly. 133 countries, I think, now are doing it. Australia is very much in research phase. The RBA is in research phase. Singapore, Switzerland, France, China, India have now got running pilot programs. I think that's very interesting. Currency's naturally evolving that way. I think cash will be less predominant, but we still don't have enough information at this point. The RBA is still very much in research phase, working with some of the banks, and we're looking forward to some of the announcements that are going to come out of that space.
How are we going to pay our tradies, Steve?
That's a really good question.
Without the cash?
You might have to pay them in Bitcoin. We don't know yet.
OK, no worries. And what are the risks associated with the change? There's got to be risks, right?
Well, I'm sure there are lots of risks. I mean, in theory, digital currency should increase security, reduce risk, also combat the black market. So in theory, there are a lot of benefits to it. There's a lot of benefits on the data side for government and dictating how those currencies may be spent in certain situations. But I'm sure there will be lots of risks around it as well. And again, there's just not enough information from the RBA at this point. But we're looking forward to some more information from them.
More information would be nice.
It would be great.
Steve, thanks so much for your time. Sarah.
Thanks, Ali.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?